Meet Dan Price. Dan's pursuit of a simple lifestyle has led him to earth-friendly building practices and adventure travel with almost no carbon footprint. Join us as we learn more about why Dan is part of the solution. We set out to find Dan at his home in Joseph, Oregon.
Where are we, guys?
Well, Dan's place is a long way from anything.
Cloudy, chance of rain.
We started to feel silly that we were using so much fuel to go interview a guy that hardly uses any.
Freaky little place. Where are we, Wayne?
I don't know. Somewhere in Idaho or
no, Oregon. There's a lot of cowboy hats here, and there's this. It's a trike, man. I thought you'd like it. Jesus.
It had been a long drive. We finally arrived in Joseph and met up with our old friend Dan.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And after a trip to the local brew pub, we turned in for the night. The next morning, we went to see Dan's home. He took us down the trail to a beautiful meadow just outside of town.
Yeah, 17 years ago I found this meadow, and it was pretty much a horse pasture with a lot of down trees, and I was looking for a place to write, and I walked into this little meadow and thought, wow, this is perfect. It's really close to town, and I found the owners and asked them if I could have a tent here to write in, and they said yeah. So
Dan spent years converting the meadow by hand. He built himself a work studio, a bathhouse and a sauna, a garage for his TerraTrike,
gotta keep it dry,
and his underground home, affectionately known as the Hobbit hole.
Where I live. Oh, check this out.
Yeah, you gotta check this out.
All of these buildings were constructed by using natural materials from the meadow and recycled construction waste from the surrounding area.
But this is 2 acres of land that I'm leasing for $100 a year, and I've, as you can see, cleaned it up and made it like a park. I've rebuilt all the fences. Everything that I do here kind of works on the property. The only thing that I can't seem to make into a closed system is the plastic that comes on things that I buy. All right, I don't actually believe in owning land. The owners came down and said, you know, we really like what you're doing here, and if you want to spend the rest of your life on this place, that's fine with us.
So we sat down with Dan and asked him why he chose Joseph, Oregon.
It's pretty obvious why we're up here. If you look in behind me, it's really an amazing, quiet, serene place, and we came here in 1990. Right off the bat, I wanted to try and figure out a way to set up a living situation so that I had a lot of freedom. I learned that you don't really need a whole lot to survive. Started out in a teepee and started living real simple in a teepee, and just have a small little underground room that I live in now, and have a business that also has a small building.
Dan promotes a lifestyle of simplicity. We asked him why.
Our society is so sped up and so money-oriented, and we're all supposed to be making a lot of money and getting the house and the cars and everything, and I just don't think that's a healthy method anymore. My core belief is that food, shelter, and clothing is really all we need. And I really investigated that and said, okay, you know, if that's really truly all you need, well, to survive, what are we doing? Why are people running off to work every day and pursuing all these things that they want to purchase?
So we asked Dan about his life's philosophy.
Well, I really like this saying, less is more. What I've discovered is that whenever I get rid of something that I thought I needed, my life is enriched. There's a lot of freedom in living super simple.
Okay, so simplicity is great, but you still have to make a living. How does Dan do it?
So I got the simple living thing going on, and then I started drawing and creating a journal that I write and draw in every day. And that little journal became something that I could publish and sell, which was a pretty unique thing. And so I started making a living off my personal journals. That led me to want to travel and leave home a lot and do adventure type travel to write about.
And travel he did. We asked him about some of his adventures.
The first years of writing the chronicles were pretty much about Wallowa County and the environs around here, camping and all that. Then came a time when my magazine actually was sponsored by a shoe company. I was given more money for that, and I was able to travel in a broader sense. I went around Oregon and even outside Oregon. Basically, they just published my magazine and turned it into their catalog. They put shoes in the back of it and sent it out to all their customers. So my readership went from like 100 people to 30,000, sometimes 50,000 magazines. And I started traveling pretty extensively across the country.
And this is what led us here. The man that rode 4,500 miles on a tricycle.
Dan has done a lot of extraordinary things in his life, but the most extraordinary thing to us is he took one of our TerraTrikes, was it 3-4 years ago maybe?
Yeah.
Rode it from here. We're in Joseph, Oregon right now. He rode it all the way out to the coast. If you don't know where Joseph, Oregon is, it's very close to Hell's Canyon. It's closer to Boise than it is to the coast. So it's very eastern Oregon, almost into Idaho. He rode from here all the way out to the coast, and then he rode all the way down the coast to San Diego. And then he rode from San Diego all the way across the bottom of the United States to Florida, down Florida all the way to Key West. It was, what, 4,700 miles?
4,500.
4,500 miles in one trip on a TerraTrike. And I think that still is the record. I don't think anybody's come close.
3.5 months of pedaling, yes.
3.5 months.
It was a long trip.
Ways, yeah. It was the beginning of the Iraq War, and a lot of people were talking about gas and oil, and there's a lot of fear in the nation also. People seemed really afraid of terrorism. 9/11 had just happened, and people shouldn't be thinking that way. This is America. We're a free country, and we should have the courage to go do really whatever we want to do. So I got on this trike and did this big long ride for 3.5 months and talked to a lot of people about fear and also, of course, about gas and using a lot of gas to drive around and get yourself to your job and back, and try to talk more people into riding bikes and get out of their cars.
But Dan, weren't you fearful of undertaking such a huge endeavor?
You come to a point where you're very afraid and not sure, should I do this? Should I step off this cliff and what's going to happen? So I think it's about having the guts to take chances and follow your dreams, follow what's in your heart. And I think the universe wants us to do that. That's why we're here. If we don't do that, we sort of are kind of over in the corner. We're not fulfilled. We're not very happy. We're not affecting other people in a positive way. If we take those chances and follow our heart, the universe hands you all these gifts, and you create this circle of helping other people. And to me, that's really what it's about.
So through his example of simple living, green building techniques, and zero-emission travel, Dan Price is showing us all how to be part of the solution.
MoonlightChronicles.com. Yeah.